From Sigma Woman, this is the Business for Aligned Women podcast. I'm your host, Clara McKay, your aligned business coach and advocate for all things showing up for your vision. This is a no BS space for brave-hearted women who are actually craving change. I'm dedicated to bringing women's visions into reality, equipping women with all they need to build an abundant future, and shutting down all of the ways that you keep yourself small. Here, we're all about a women-centered approach, non-negotiable value alignment, and making bank without compromising your well-being. Each week, you're already one step closer to your most aligned and abundant future. Welcome to this week's episode. Today, I'm going to be talking about some things that are going on in my gentle business and some behind the scenes so that you have some indicators or maybe guiding lights as to things that you might like to include in your business or try or start to prioritize as a way to really take care of yourself, not just your business's bottom line. And if this conversation is interesting to you, I think you would really love my free 20-minute gentle consistency class. Jump onto that in the show notes. I did also want to remind you that I have only very final spaces available as of today's recording in my Gentle Business program. This is a 6-month one-to-one coaching program with monthly group classes. That's all about building a business that is going to prioritize your well-being, getting all the structures and systems down, but never at the expense of your energy, your hormones, your health, and your values as well. If that's interesting to you, you can check it out in the show notes, and you can also book a free call with me to discuss if that might be right for you. If you're someone who really values integrity and you don't like doing things in a stressful way and you want to really allow yourself to integrate and percolate, that is a really beautiful program. Here are some little things that they've been brought to the front of mind in the last few months and ways that I am ensuring that my business remains gentle for me. And I want to start by saying in July, which was the first month of the new financial year here in Australia, I made more than $50,000 in 1 month. And the point isn't to talk about that number. The point is to talk about what I was able to be like while still making that amount of money. And I love to be really honest and really transparent. And I will say I was a bit busier than I would like to be this month. And I did have a couple of Fridays and Sundays where I spend like 3 minutes in my DMs, which, I don't think most other people would mind doing that, but it is not how I want to run things. I really want to be completely turned off on the weekends, but it was just, I had a few people who were having time-based conversations with me about signing up, and I had to just be available for them. So that's fine. And we do that every now and then because we've had so much space where we don't go online on the weekends. So when we do, it doesn't feel like too much of an affront. But I made that amount of money while still making sure that I was exercising for like 2 or 3 hours a day, 4 if you include walking the dogs. I'm doing a 45-minute yoga nidra in the afternoon, usually like a 10 or 15-minute meditation in the morning. I'm walking on the treadmill, reading the Kindle. I'm cooking food for myself that's healthy every couple of days. I'm doing like nice batch cooking and really being able to get out in nature a little bit, not so like every day with the dogs, but not so much just because it's freezing cold and pouring rain all the time at the moment. Being able to get in the garden on the weekends and actually start preparing the garden for spring. And also just being able to do the things that I obviously love the most, which at the moment is reading and knitting. I've completed a few knitting projects, which is one of the ways that I feel accomplishment in my own life. I get a lot of accomplishment from having a fridge and a freezer stocked full of really healthy batched food and finishing my craft projects that have been on the list for a long time and finishing books that I've wanted to read for a long time. I just want to highlight and expand for you that it is really possible. And I will also say that's still working 4 days a week. It's really, really possible. And I did have one whole week without clients in that month. So I had a whole week where I just concentrated on back end business, not seeing any clients. And I know for me, that really, really replenishes me so much. It also replenishes the clients and gives them time to process and integrate too. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was when you want to run a business like this and you want to have boundaries and you want to have rest programmed in, the main thing is going to be that you really have to have a solid grasp on your availability in a very, very long-term way. So I'm now going through 2025's availability and making sure that I have space for myself and making sure that I'm not doing any people pleasing. And also another thing that's really helped me with that is if someone asks something of me in real time, I try not to get back to them straight away. If they ask something of me in real time on a video call, I will actually say, can I please get back to you tomorrow? Because I still default to people please in the moment. And being a 3-5 generator, I do need to wait to respond and wait to see how it feels rather than having that immediate, oh, yeah, that's fine, we'll do that for you response. Really having to look at, oh, how many more clients can I truly, actually, legitimately, logistically fit in this year? And that has meant I would previously say to ongoing clients, oh, yeah, we can fit you in within 2 months' notice. And now I'm realizing, oh, nope, I need to have a limited amount of those per year because otherwise it gets too chaotic. And I will say one of my biggest blind spots is maths. So knowing how many clients I can see over X amount of period, which is a very maths-based equation, is definitely not something that I'm great at. And there has been multiple occasions in my business where I've done it wrong. And then that's been like a long-term issue because I've ended up being way more drained than I was supposed to be because I didn't have the boundary. If you're at the very beginning of your business and you just want clients, you're probably not thinking about this at all, but it's something to consider long term because one thing that I did try in my latest intensive cohort is because I had clients in the Northern Hemisphere and also just didn't have room for someone else, I ended up doing my 3 client days starting at 9 a.m. And that's the first time I've ever done that, ever, in the history of my business. And it was interesting to give it a go and give it a try, which is what I suggest that you do. Don't just poo-poo things and not try them. Give them a try, see how it goes. And I would say for the first half, I appreciated it because it meant I would get up earlier, I would get my stuff done earlier, and then I would start my workday earlier than normal. But for the second half, it started to not feel amazing. And mainly because in order to do my exercise and walk my dogs and get ready for clients, I'd need to get up and that was making life not amazing, but more so than the getting up early, because that's fine. The rush of it, the rush of like, do I have enough time to do this other workout? How long am I going to be at the dog park for? Can I go and get a coffee? Rushing to get ready in the morning rather than be able to do skincare and do it slowly and all of that kind of stuff. I will do it for people who really need it, but I'm going to try to not do it very often. And thankfully, I've plugged in all of my next intensive without me doing any 9 a.m. So that had pros and cons, but I think I know myself well enough to know that, especially because I do tend a bit more to anxious and stress, rushing is really inauthentic for me and it makes me feel like shit. So anything that I can do to plug in extra buffers of time is really supportive of me. I'm also trying to integrate that hour in the afternoon to read my Kindle on the Peloton tread. And I have this funky arm and a remote and everything. And to be honest, I haven't been able to prioritize that almost at all this month. I've only done it a couple of times. So that's something that I'll be looking to prioritize over the next month. It's really clearing for me, and it does break the stress cycle of the day. And it's a nice way to clear out the day and have some time to myself and my stories that I'm reading. And yeah, one of those things that I'm trying to fit in somewhere. And maybe it needs to be half an hour, and an hour is just too much. If you're listening to this and thinking about all of these things, something that I really do advocate for is do less often, and add on and build up as you gain consistency, rather than being like, I need to do 1 hour every day, which is going to make it feel like a bit of a mountain. Another thing that is really simple, but can also be a game changer, especially if you've been a bit of an overachiever, is to just do what I scheduled in the day. And when I finish it, not try to fill the space with, okay, what else can I do? I plan my months quite strictly. And something that I do each week is either on like a Thursday or Friday the week before, I'll look at the following week and I'll just make sure that it isn't too much. And I'll kind of move things around so that, like, if it looks really hectic and it looks like I'm jumping around from a lot of tasks, or if I need a bit more self-care, if I haven't programmed in things like that to take care of myself, I'll rejig it at the end of each week, because I think I have an ongoing weekly plan, but anyone who knows being in business, tasks just get added on all the time. And really going, okay, I am done for the day. And if that's 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 1 o'clock or whatever, like really trying to chill the overachiever in me that would do more stuff. I am moving into, I think it ends up being 17 business days off in August. Really looking forward to that mid-year circuit breaker. I'm going to be going into town to hear a talk on stoicism, staying in a nice hotel, getting room service, all that stuff. I've also booked a 3-night reading retreat away down the coast. With all the stuff going on with flights, I'm not chill with getting on an airplane right now. So just locally, something really simple, and in a really beautiful Airbnb by myself. I've booked sauna, I've booked facial, I've booked massage. I'm going to go and get some really yummy food and read many, many books and sit in front of the fire and have a bath. That's my August pretty much. Another thing that I've tried to reintegrate and prioritize, because it is something that can really fall off really quickly, is grounding and cleansing my energy and clearing my energy after client calls. And I got this reminder from Charlotte Milder, who's a beautiful client who does soul contract readings. And she just reminded me that that was really necessary for me. And I do find that if I take the 5 minutes after a call to do that, I do feel way less drained at the end of the day. And also, I think, not to say that any of my clients have bad energy, that's not what I mean. But I think we take on other people's feelings and other people's moods. And if someone's anxious or stressed or depressed or sad, that then kind of comes into my system. And there have been so many times when I've had a call with someone who's been in a bad place, and then I felt really sad afterwards. And I'm like, I'm not sad about anything. This is actually someone else's feelings. I think something really toxic is when we have other people's energy on us, and then we go and communicate with our community on social media without clearing that energy. It feels toxic when I do it. It doesn't feel right. It feels like I'm like muddying the water in my community and my business. And that's something that I really want to prioritize, no longer doing it. I used to be really bad at this. Jump off a call, check Instagram, reply to your DMs, then go back to whatever you're doing. And it means that I'm transmitting something that is not my own when I do that. Let me know if that resonates with you. Last little thing that I wanted to talk about is to remind you that if you are listening to all this and you're like, oh, this would be so nice, I wish I could do that. You need to understand that you can't do that and you can't get boundaries until you know what you're protecting. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true. If you don't know what you need to protect, you can't create boundary around that. For instance, taking care of myself, being healthy, self-care is part of one of my values, and solitude is one of my highest values. So that means, yeah, I am going to book 3 nights away by myself. But if you don't know what your values are, you can't prioritize them. So if that brings up anything for you, you should jump into my self-alignment workshop, because that's the first step to building a life or a business that is actually honoring all these different parts of yourself. If you can't tell, getting to share this time with you is something that I find truly sacred. I know that you're busy, but if you've taken anything away from our time spent together today, could you extend the love and share this episode with a friend, your community, or on your socials? Tag me so that I can see it and I can share it too. Or when you have a spare moment, leave the podcast a review. These things cost you nothing and will mean so much to me. Let's get this resource into the hands of more women visionaries and help us collectively move towards our most aligned way of being and doing business together.